Hi, Rohit.
Hi.
Rohit, so shall we can start?
Yeah, yeah, can start.
Sorry?
Yes, we can start.
Okay, sure. Let's start. And do record from your side also, okay?
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so is my screen visible? Hello. So today we'll be starting with module 3. As in this module, we will start looking at how to join data source, wherein we will try to create the metadata from the file which we started yesterday, customers, and then joining the metadata which we created to use the source file. Next, we will try to see how to capture regex, and then if we fail in capturing the regex, then we will see how to correct our lookup. This last topic we already covered yesterday. So first we should, I think most of you have worked with SQLs and other databases. Data is usually we see is it's data about data, means what our table is storing in a particular data, a particular format. That it is metadata, means which column is having which type of data, what is the length, what is its name, and what is the data type. So in this way, we can see that in database fields, the metadata is essential to understand and interpret the content of the data warehouse. This means that seeing the metadata only of a database, you can easily understand which table is storing which type of data, and what is the, we can say, what is the property of that data. Okay, so to create the metadata into our Talend, we have an option under repository view as metadata. There you can see multiple options, as DB connections, which is used to create database connections metadata, then in file delimited. This is usually for CSV files. Then positional, then regex if you have any. You can also create an XML metadata. Same is with the Excel and JSON and LDAP other if you require. So to create a metadata for a file, for a CSV file, we have to right click on this file delimited option. Then we'll see a sub menu which has options to create file delimited, create a folder, import and export item. So create file delimited is used to create metadata for a particular file. Whereas create folder is the same if you want, if you are having multiple files and you want to segregate out different segments, so you can organize it in that way. Import and export works in the same manner as our previous wherein we can import and export any external or internal files as per our requirement. So if you see here it shows that we have clicked on file delimited, then it opens up a new window which has the same property that we saw yesterday with creating a new job, name, purpose, description, author, local version. So name and purpose is important because without that it will give you, if you don't give name, then it will give you error. And if you don't give purpose and description, then it will give you warnings. And as it is showing us a warning, it is inadvisable to give the description blank. Means it is expecting some value in the description. Okay, so once we provide this, you will see a new window results open which asks you what is the location of the file and what's the format. Once you select the location from the browser and the format of the file, so here you have two formats, one which supports Unix and second one is for Windows. So suppose your job is deployed in Unix environment, then you have to select the Unix, otherwise you can select the Windows, which is default. And next is you have another window which opens up when you select the date files and its format, wherein you have to actually define what is the structure of the file. Means what is the encoding of the file, how is a field delimited, means in what way this element understand the one field has ended and now second field is started. Then if you have any custom row identifier, means like here we have default for /n or carriage return, but if you have some other any other value which you have defined or any other unprintable values, so you can define it here. Then you can select what is the settings and all those. So here you have the header part and the
Rohit, you are not audible.
metadata for our CSV file. So we'll just click on this, see it opens up. Now it is giving me a
So, Rohit, you are not audible for some time. So, if you can explain again from the delimiter that metadata you are creating.
Okay, yeah, I'll explain it. Okay, sure. So see here in the repository window, we have the options as metadata. So in metadata, as I've shown that it has all the different things. So to create a CSV or delimited file metadata, we have to right click on the file delimited. Then it comes to see these options. Then we select this create file delimited. Okay, this window opens as in our job we have already used. So here you will see it is giving us the warning, so you can just copy and paste in order to remove anyone. Once we select next, it is asking us to add a file. So see, file it is localhost. If you need not to, suppose if it is in the server, then you might get some options, but usually it gives as localhost. Then the file. The file is the actual location where our file is stored. So I'll see that this is my file. It is showing the format as Unix, but as we are supporting Windows, so we select it. Okay. Then see, it is showing us all the values which we have. So if it is UTF-8, you can select UTF-8 or any other format for which the file is supported. But usually we select as UTF-8. Then we are selecting my file delimiter. So file field separator is the comma. So here it is not showing me value into the different columns, but it is showing one because this separated field separator is not matching. So I'll select comma. Okay. Now we'll select refresh. So see, I have all the columns with different values and it got segregated, but my header row is not coming. So to set that, we'll just set heading row as my column name. Okay, so it will automatically set it. So now you have header as ID, first name, last name, and city and state in the same way. And if you have any empty rows, so here you can select skip empty rows. So in that case, it will omit all the empty rows and continue reading file after the empty row also. So these are the same values. If you remember it, the file input delimiter which we mentioned, wherein encoding field separator, row separator, and header. In header, footer, skip empty rows, or limit or number of rows. Then we will select this. See, this is showing the name, which is usually you can give any name. And these are the actual field names wherein it is showing that ID is of integer type and length is 2. So this is taking the type of the column based on the values of the column. So if first value is string, then it will take it as a string. If it is integer, then it will take it as integer or any number. And from here we can also check it whether we want it nullable or not, and we can also change the length of the file field. This to 5. I suppose you want it to be as uniform. So now, see, this was our field which we created, and see here we have all the files, all the columns. In this way, we can create metadata. The same way we can create metadata for our SQLs also, or DB connections. Whatever DB connection you want to create, you can just click create connection. Go here, give the name. Okay. Next, see here we have multiple database types. Whatever database which will be your either source or target or both you want, then in case of two different data sources, you have to select two different connections. Okay. So we'll select any of the one which you require. Like in our case, we'll be using this. So we have MySQL file, our login ID, password. If you want, you can give, and then click finish. So it will create us a database connection for my new database. So here you can see I have the values as my tables which is in my database connections. See, you can see all the tables. In the same way, we can include metadata for whichever source file which we want and use it. Any questions till now? Okay, so we'll move forward and Next, we'll see how to join two data sources. So joining two data sources means we will use two different data sources to get a resultant output. Okay. So here you see we have already created our customer metadata which we'll be using, and then try to drag and drop. So it will open us a new window where it asks which component we want to use this metadata which we have created. So like we'll be using it as CSV file, so we will select the T file and port delimited. Otherwise we can use whatever we want. And next we'll use DMySQL, as I am using my other data sources. SQL input, we can use the CSV file also, or any other file through which we can easily get the data. And then we will connect those two using TMAP. Here what we have to keep in mind is that while creating connection, we have to select that source as main, based on which will be our base. Means suppose we have customer, we are trying to get the customer data, and then we are trying to get based on that we are trying to get sales data. Okay. So in that case, if you want to have all the details for customers, you need to have the connection for customer table as main. If you select that as lookup, then in TMAP you will have to do more efforts to get data from the lookup table, and rather than getting it from the main. So and also the first connection whichever you will make to the TMAP will be main, and only one connection can be main. Apart from that, you can have any lookups. You can have 10 lookups, but main connection will only be one. Next will be have added. So here we are doing the same as we do in our SQL query or any other fields, wherein we are creating a joint between two tables, which is based on customer number, and that customer number, when it matches, it gives us the resultant output. So here our criteria is to get the order number for a particular customers, where customer number matches the value for customers into the order table. We'll see the same. See here we have success rows, and based on that we get all the customers which are there in the order table and their order number. So the same thing we'll try to see into this job. So see, this is the job wherein we are trying to capture data based on the order number. This is our source file, which will be using here. This is one different one. And so here this is our customer data, and this is our MySQL connection. So I'll show you how to drop connection. So see here, if I want to use this connection, I'll just select this local DB connection and drop it here. So here I want to use it as the MySQL input. It will automatically select and give us the result value. So if you open and see the connection settings, see it is already configured. It has the database version which I am using, my localhost, its port, table name, and all other things. So query which we want to select, we can write it, or if you want any specific table data, like in my case, I have these many tables. I want to get the connection for that particular table only. Okay, so what I will do, I'll just select this, drop it here, MySQL connection. Now see, the difference between these two connections is that we have all the settings, but we don't have the value of table and query which we want. But if you directly get the values from this table, the schema, you can get it here, and see, you have complete schema of your component, and you have the query also. That what it is going to set. Okay. In the same case, we have this orders wherein it has all the tables, and see, while creating the join, I have created an inner join lookup for customer number based on its values. So see, I've matched this as inner join. If you want all the values from this table and only values which are matching from this, then you will select it as left outer join. In that case, you will have all the records from the customer table, but for order number, you will be having values only for those where customer number matches. Otherwise, you will have a null value. Okay. And once you run this, you should get the data.
Row number and row number 1 and row number 2, the wizard you was showing.
Yeah. So see, row number 1 and row number 2.
Previous, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one. See, row number 1 and row number 2. Row number 1 is the connection number. So this is row number 1 and this is row number 2.
This one. Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Means row number 1 having some column name and row number 2 having some column name, right?
Yes, row number 1.
Where it is coming?
Yeah, see, it is coming from this. This is the first connection is for the row number. This is row number 1. Customer data.
Okay.
And lookup is your row number 2. And if you want to change this.
Okay, so these are the two tables actually, right?
Yes, these are two input sources wherein we are.
Okay.
These are two input sources based on which we are trying to get the data, and here what we are matching customer number from customer data to the customer number in orders table. Okay. Also, one thing is that.
So this row number 1 and row number 2, we can't customize the name. It is default. The name can be different, right? We can write. Right?
Yeah. See, if you double click on this row number 2, you can write whatever you want.
Like we are joining the order table with the customer table, so we can write, right?
Yeah, you can write. These row numbers, that comes by default. You can customize anything. Okay. So see, if we have changed this. So what it will do? It has affected the row number 2 to. Okay.
So, Rohit, like how to put that join, if you can show once. again if you have food. I think I messed it up.
Yes, yes. No issues. Sorry. See, this is my base table, so I'll select row as
Right.
main, right? Then this is my lookup table, select row, main. Okay. See, here I have selected main, but it will connect as lookup.
Out to
Lookup.
right. Row 2, right, row 2. So yes.
So now, if I want to have the lookup table, so what I will do, I am selecting it based on this. So here I will write row 1 dot customer number. So it has now it will create a join, like in our query we say table 1 dot build name equals table 2 dot build name. The same thing we are doing here.
Okay.
And you will only select the order number in the output.
Yes, I can get anything I can, whatever you want. This is only for the example that we have used the order number, but you can use all the columns or any one column, whatever you use.
Okay.
Okay. Suppose if I want this order date also, status also.
This is
Yeah,
kind of inner join we are doing, right?
Yes, it is kind of inner join, but that too we have to define it. By default, it is left outer join. Okay. So I want inner join. Select inner join and do this as okay.
Yeah.
See, we have the values for customer number and these are the order numbers. Now else we show you different manners to the 10. Okay, see. For every row we have the values. Okay. This is the customer name, this is the order number based on which we got, and this is order date and the ship. Okay, in this way we can join any number of columns, any number of rows. We can have a lookup. Suppose we had any other values which is also there, so we can have a lookup here also.
Rohit, Ramakant here. As in a PDF,
Yeah.
can you open this again?
Yes, sure.
There is a expression key column here in row 2, right? Hello?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
below we have a schema editor and expression editor. So both are the same, expression key and expression editor. What does it mean?
No. Expression, no. Expression editor is different. Expression key is this, wherein you are matching column of table 1 to table 2. Okay? Whereas expression editor is for your output.
Okay. Like example, like what I can write in expression example, some scenario. Can you give me some condition?
Yes,
Sometime.
see, you can write whatever you write in this output column expression. It will be there.
Okay.
I'll show you. Right.
Some output filters and all I'm talking about for particular.
Output filters, yeah. Output filter will come here in expression builder. This is expression filter. For output filter, you have to use expression filter.
Okay.
Yesterday, which I told you. This is expression filter.
Yeah,
Here
yeah.
you can give whatever conditions which you want.
And then what does it mean? And then expressions. Okay.
Expression is for a particular column. Okay.
Right.
So suppose an expression if you want the string, and then I'll show you one case upper case. Okay. Same example which we just yesterday. So here we have written an expression wherein we are trying to convert the name of all the records into uppercase. Okay. So this has come into expression. So either you can do it from here or you can do it from here.
Okay. Thank you. Maybe. Okay, fine. Fine. Thank you.
Okay, so next you see how to capture rejects. Because rejection is more important than getting a success rate. So usually we in our TMAP also we have an option wherein we can select the reject. Okay. So here you see this is the TMAP settings. We have 3 values: catch output reject, catch lookup inner join reject. Based on these two, we select. Usually when we have provided the inner join, so we give value for this inner join reject, which helps us to capture the rejects for the joins. We just select else as true. So what it will do is that it will give us all the data which does not matches between the two tables. Okay. So what it is given is that it gave us the data, but sometimes you might see that you are not getting the data. In that case, you have to see what are the settings which you have applied. So see, in the previous wherein you have given, we have given this as inner value, okay, but it failed. You have to give the join model same as the inner join lookup. Then only we can capture. Otherwise, you have to write the expression into that expression filter column which we saw. Okay, so you select inner join and run the database. Same thing, we will first try to imitate the same thing which we saw here. So here right now what I will do is that I will remove the inner join matching. Okay, it will match all the, and we will keep this as true. So what we are trying to do is we are catching inner join rejects. Means all the ones here, there, but we expect it to show us some results, whereas it will not show because we have mapped the data, but it is not as per the model. To correct it, what we do? Then given inner join apply and run. Now see, we have these two customers who don't have any data. We have a blank customer which does not have any value, and we have a customer number is 406,987 which also does not have any order. So in this way we have captured it. Now coming to your previous wherein how can we use this one. So for this what we will do, we will not implement this reject portion. Okay. And we'll create one expression wherein what we are trying to do is that let's see, it should give us Equal to is not happening. So here what will give? We will give row number equals to 0. Okay. So it will give us the rejects. Oh, null is extra. And then we will remove this. Now we should. That is not taking. So here, if we give this, in this way, if we give this connection, it will give us the resultant value. If somehow it is not able to interpret it. Okay. So this is.
Try to get
Any questions? Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I hear.
Yeah.
Tell me.
What we were trying to do in that. Yeah, what we were trying to do in the previous means he was writing
Yes,
some expression for what purpose. So he was trying to do means order number is not present in the row 2,
Yes.
row 1. Means what was trying to do.
Yes, what I was trying to do is that here I was trying, if suppose if we don't want to use this, first thing we should use these math models and the facilities which are provided here. But without that also, if we give the expression value in this place, it will give you the resultant output. So what I was trying is that I was trying to match the order number which is null. Okay, if it matches the value is null or it contains the null, it will show us only
Which
those
is null in the which table? What do you mean?
Yes. Suppose this customer number is not present in order table. Okay. Against to that, we will be having order number as
Okay.
which will be null or zero now. So we are trying to match.
We don't
that
have an order
number.
number itself there. Yeah.
Yes, we don't have an order number itself here. So that was the thing. There's a secondary way.
Okay.
We can.
Okay, we were trying to retrieve the customer number which don't have any order. That is the meaning.
Yeah, that is the meaning. Okay, so we can directly give the expressions into
So
our.
it will give us the customer data, right?
Yes, it will give us the customer. So usually this comes into picture. Suppose if you are dealing with any other files wherein you are not able to use this inner joins, okay, based on the field values if you want. So you can give it here and it will give you output. Okay.
And what is this catch
So
out?
we can't be right for SQL for this. I mean, in SQL it is very easy, right?
Yes, SQL it is very easy. You can write.
Can't we write in SQL for this situation?
Yes, you can write in SQL, but you have the
Can you
facility.
show us that
to
where to write the SQL?
query. You can write any query in this place.
There was also an option of catch output reject. What does that do exactly?
Okay.
This is also used to capture the rejects.
What kind of rejects? I mean, output
Yeah.
reject is what?
Output.
The customer which don't have a order in the customer database, it will give that data, right? So out of 100, only 50 customers order anything, the rest 50 will give, or rest 50 will come in that reject list.
Yeah.
That is the meaning, Rohit, right?
Yes, yes. It will give only the value based on your rejects, otherwise it won't give. If you want only reject purpose, usually we use these things. Okay, so next the topic which we try to cover is picture data. Okay. Okay, so this is the same thing which we have used. Means right now we were providing the filters into the TMAP. Okay. Here we were giving the filter conditions and trying to capture it. But suppose if you don't want to give it here and we want a separate, we have a separate component for that to do it. So that is a T-filter row. And it helps us to filter conditions based on filter values based on the conditions which we provide. Okay. So for this, what we'll do is that it has we'll provide an input source means from the column wherein it will accept the data, and we'll provide the conditions into this component, which based on which it will give us the data. So see, if we have conditions as and or. Based and the column names. So in the conditions section, we will provide the column name, what function, and what's the written, what's the output which we expected. Okay. So to get the filters, we have here two options. We have two connections. One is to filter, means all the records which matches our filter condition, and second is the rejects, the records which do not pass our filter conditions. So we'll select based on our requirement and set it. Okay. So see here we have set a filter for a customer whose value is 102. Means I want a particular customer who has that customer ID, and we have not provided any functions because we don't want any mathematical functions to be operated on this view. Then whether we want it's equal to, less than, or greater than, and the value which we are expecting based on which it should provide us the data. Okay. Next is if we want to provide multiple filters. So multiple filters we can provide it in the same column, wherein we can add number of rows. Suppose we have sales data, and in that sales data, which is of I want sales data for Northern India. So in Northern India, I want sales data for a particular state, like of Delhi or Jammu Kashmir or Punjab or Chandigarh. Okay. Now in that state, if I want a particular city, so I will give all the criteria in this condition section, and based on that condition, it will give us the resultant output. So here, which we will do is that you see we have the same job wherein we have one customer table and orders. Now instead of giving the filter condition in TMAP, okay, we have not given any filter condition. I am giving a condition wherein I want a customer number whose value is 171. And this schema is, or it will select only those columns which are coming to its schema. Means we cannot give any other column. Suppose in TMAP we have this status. Okay. Now here we have included it, but suppose if it is not a part of the output schema and we try to give the filter, so it won't show up because it will show only those columns which are part of the schema. Otherwise, it won't show. Okay, so in this manner, if we want to have the schema to be included into my condition, so I have to get this. Now we run this, we should get the customer with the desired field. Okay. So we have one customer which matches our requirement for customer number as 171, and it showed us the result. Okay. So in this T-filter row, if you see we have logical operators, or this comes into picture when we will be using multiple filters. So for multiple filters, we have this location, job C, we want the customers who are in process state and its ID is 171. So if we give AND condition, so it will, what it will do, it will try to fetch the record which matches both the criteria. Means customer number is 171 and its status is in process. And if we don't have, so if we want the conditions based on either condition gets true, then we will select it as OR and then try to run the job. So once we run the job, see we have given two filter conditions, and based on that we have only two rows which fulfills the criteria. So we have a customer with 171 whose order status is in process, and we have customer with 171 which was our criteria. Any questions on this? So this is one advanced mode wherein you see there is an option to write the Java code. So what it is doing is that it is giving you whatever conditions which you have given, but you can write any other conditions. Suppose if you want the credit limit, you are using credit limit, but we don't have the credit limit or any required function into this place because it has only upper lower case left match. You want the credit limit to be greater than certain value, so you can specify that condition into this place, and based on this filter condition it will first check for the values which you have given in this condition section, and then it will check for the conditions which you have given in the advanced section. Once it fulfills both the scenarios, then it will give you the output. So this is for the filter conditions. Anything till now? Because these two are very small topics and we won't have much here. Instead, just providing the filter conditions which we have. the logical operators which we use and the conditions wherein it checks for the cases, uppercase first close, and length and matches.
Yeah. Can you just repeat or uncheck that use advanced mode for once?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that doing exactly?
Use advanced mode is suppose see if you check this function for the filter mode. Okay, it has only the limited functions which it can control. It can only check the string case, lowercase, length, and matches. Okay. Apart from these conditions, if you want to implement any other thing, you can use advanced mode at a specified way.
Okay.
So in this way we have covered our module 3 and 4. Next we have module 6. This you will see. Okay, 1 second, I will stop sharing. Okay, so now we'll see how to use context variables because that is the important part wherein we can provide runtime values into our talent job. Okay. So context variables only you can say is that these are the placeholders for the values into our challenge job where we provide the values as per our requirement and which are not job specific. Instead, they are environment specific. Means you have 3 different servers for 3 different scenarios for development, production, and testing. So instead of giving hard-coded value to the talent job, you can define a variable which will be treated as context values, and based on that context, it will take whatever value defined to that host name or the server name for a particular environment. Okay. So Talend provides you, or it gives you the option to give the context variables in 2 ways. First is local and second one is global. So we can compare it in the same way where all other programming languages gives us the variable declaration way in which the variables declared in a particular function or a class is local to that function or class, whereas variables declared in the global structure is part of the complete class and it can be used in. So same way it works here also. The context variables which are defined in repository are usable in that project for any job, whereas the context variables which are defined in a specific job, that is local to that job only and it can't be used anywhere else. So see, we have one option here wherein we have scenario where we are using the context variable.
Ramakant.
Yeah.
So sometime when we are defining the context variable locally in a job, okay, and with the same name I am defining in a global as well. So can you tell me how can, okay, or might be you can cover this concern.
No, you asked me.
So,
But yeah, how can you differentiate which context variable is being used? Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. We'll test this. Okay. So see, this is the context variable tab wherein you have all the context, all this window, and if you see these buttons, these are just to add variables, delete, you can change the order, and if you see this last tab button wherein you can select the context variables from the repository. Okay. So this is the condition that I have created a context variable which was local to that job and it was used here. Okay. And now we can use context variables which are in the repository and global to a particular project. So this I am saying because global to a particular project is that the project, context variables are local to that project only. We cannot use same context variables into another without defining into that different project. For that we can import this project by this context variables, but we have to include it in that project. We cannot use two same context variables which is defined in one but it is not linked to that project. It won't be used. Okay. So here in the same way we created our method. We will be creating this context variables for repository. So in repository, if you see we have the option is context. We click right click there and it shows us the same option. So apart from this create context group which helps us to create the new context. You can have any number of contexts and same value can be defined here. But while including into the job, only one variable will be used, be it local or be it from the repository. Okay. So in the scenario which Ramakant said that he has two context variables of the same name, but only one gets added. It's because it won't allow you same context variables to be added without any changes. So if you want to have a change, you have to remove the local and then include the repository one. Okay. So here we have created the context variables wherein it gives us the options of name, what is the group of name, and then what value will it hold into this group. Like here we are creating a group for database connections. So give them as hostname, username, password, and database. And its environment is default. If you want a new environment, you can add it. So to add that environment, if you see this is team button. So once you click, it will give you an option to add different environments and you can specify it. Okay. And next is once it is added, so to add these context variables into the job, you have to click on this last icon. So if you are using Talent 6, then it is in the notepad manner, but if it is not, then you will see multi-color green dot at this position, which you have to select and use. Okay. So this and once you have added this context variables, so those all gets added to it, to your job, and it will show. Next, you can use it without an issue. Okay, so see it here. So see, this is my job which is holding the context variable founder. Look, you see, this is my context variable tab where it has all the context which I am using, and to add a context, just have to click on this plus green button. It edits me. And we can have whatever value we have. Sample. What will be its data type depending on the requirement and the value which it will hold. You can give it. You can give it here. The comment if you want it. Status comment and the value which it will put. So see, we have this context group as before, and if I want to add any other, for this I have to click on this green button. See, I can give it as QA and okay. Once we click on this, it will create 3 groups with same value. Okay. So if you want different values, then you just have to change the value in this place, and it will use that value depending on the environment. And if you want to run in different environments with different values, you just have to select this option. So this is the way, and we are using the real, if we have our local to this job which is for database. So to add a context value, what we have to do is that we have just context. So to get in this menu, you just have to use control plus a space bar. It will show us context or posting. Okay. So in this way, it gets added to a particular job, and we can use it. If I want to test it, what we should expect that it should give us the data using the context variables. So see, it gave us the data using the context value. And one thing, if you want to check what value it is holding, okay, so simply can use Q. Context of the post. Okay. And let what value it is storing. So in the same manner you can, okay, so see my context dot posting is storing the localhost value. So depending on the environment, if you want, you can use, and whatever value it is into your that environment context variable, it will store. Any questions still now?
Variable means you use your transformation T Java or something. What was that means? What is the relation
Java?
basically?
No, T-Java. So T-Java is nothing but it is a simple component wherein you can use your custom code or you want any operations or anything. It's a normal component, normal what you say connector which gives you the ability to either print it if you want. If you are not using T or 4J or something, you don't have then using T-Java you can print it. It's just
What's the significance of a context group?
yes. Significance of
Yeah,
context.
that is my question. Yeah, exactly.
So significance
So
of
means we
context.
created some context variable right now where we use means you use a T-Java and you have written something, right? System or in context,
No.
post name.
We used in this
Uh-huh.
SQL input component where instead of giving the value as hard-coded for host name, port number, database, I am using context variables. Okay. So these context variables are coming from this context.
There it was hard coded, huh?
Yeah, earlier it was hard-coded.
Context group means just this group of context variables.
Context group means just this group of variables, or you can say that suppose you have different sets of database or different sets of data. Okay.
Yeah.
But you have same variables. Okay. And you want to identify it into this one. That suppose you have this customer data. Okay. So you create one context group for this. You create one context group for this, and you can use independently without any issues.
Okay. And that same group I can use
So you
for
mean
the
to say,
other
I
code.
suppose in one place I have a suppose you have means suppose just a scenario. Means I have the customer data, order data, and whatever the data in one place, right? And some other data in my SQL table. Okay. So you mean to say I create one file and I put that address there and whatever the password and host name and all, and I can drag it and use it without giving any path and all, right? It will access that table. What do you mean? That is the
Yes.
that is
You
the
can
use of context variable, right?
context variables is used only for this this file. If you want to give the file name, row separator, headers.
In case of file, we can't do that.
In case of file, if you want to extract data
Right now, you
from the-
created for the database, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
We can create it. See,
So right now.
For file we can create it. Okay, we can give
Okay.
file. Okay. We can give us rules. Like here we have this one, whatever value we give. Okay, whatever value, either we can give a path, like in this case, which we have data. Okay, row separator should be mine. And the field separator is this and row separator. So /G, whatever. Now I have printed and I want to use this value here. So I won't run it, but I will show you how it is used. So see, this gets added here, and in this field 5, here we have a field separator and row separator. Now if I want to use this one, I can give it here. So that's what's the second topic which we are using. Okay. So here in this job, what we are trying to do is we are trying to use context variables from our repository. To create that in the repository tree, we'll go to context, right? Create context. Whatever context which is coded, suppose this is for DB. Okay, data. So whatever values we want, we can give. Here we have one post.
So we were creating for file, right? That I want to see that. We were creating for the file, means context variable. So we have already seen for the database. We was doing for the file, right? So that yeah. So suppose this is the location, right? File name. Yeah.
See, I have added this context. Okay. Now if you see, we have this file. Okay. This is the context.
We have file address, okay, is data.
Field separator, row separator.
Yeah.
Okay. And this I have added only 3.
Right.
Now if I want to use this one, what I will do? Use this as context file. Okay. Row separator. Context. Row separator. Field separator. Context. Field separator. Okay. So in this way, what it is doing is that it is taking the value which we have defined into the context. Now this.
Okay.
This won't run because it will be given the raw values. Okay. See, it ran, but it didn't because the criteria matches here. Okay. In this way, we can
Yeah, we
add this.
have not given
Okay. So this is for this. Yeah.
Yeah, so as we can see, the variable name for the context, say I have two different database contexts, right? One for say localhost and other say for some other host. Okay, two separate MySQL contexts. Now, as we can see, the variable name, say the host name, that is probably unique for all the contexts, right? If I have the name host for say context 1, I cannot have the same variable name for context 2, right?
Yes, yes. So that's what you have created a context group for database, and in that database you can provide any number of groups. In that group you can give the so see this is my database group. Okay. It has default. If I want any other, I will create one more group. Yes. Okay. And here I can give whatever value I want. I can give the details of other server while running. Okay, if I go here and while running, suppose I want to use the dev. So I will just select that one and it will take values from this section, not from this.
Okay, so in that case, say if I have a multiple database in my own system, then I need to define them as different environments, so that I have different context values for those databases, right?
Yes, you have to, or else you have to create different contexts with different. Suppose you have a SQL database, you have a MySQL database, you have you have what we say MongoDB database, or you have any other database. So for that, I have to create context groups wherein in the variables. Okay. Here in the variables you have to give which database it is. Is it MySQL? You can give MS SQL hostname and all the values. And then you have to add. Means you have to add something which will differentiate it from other variables. Otherwise, you won't be able to add.
You're right. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Now coming to the question value, we have two variables at two different locations. One is for repository and one is for our local. So for local, if you want to see, I'll add one value and with this. So how can we differentiate the values coming from this? So see, at the top you will see from which context group it is coming and what where it is. So it is coming from database context from repository. This means it is from the repository. Whereas the value which we have added locally, it does not have any reference to the repository. It is only the standalone variable which we have declared. Does this answer the question?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So if you see, this has failed and it was giving me error for some port number or some connection string, and it gave me this error because I did not specify any port number for this dev environment. Okay. While I was using the dev environment database, but it was not having the port number, so it failed. So to check this, we can either use here, which will implement to all the jobs, or we can come to this place in our context variables, and here we can select as default, and if we run, we should get the resultant. Now see, we have got it. Now you can take 10 to 15 minutes and think whatever any questions onto this, because usually this is the tricky part and we have issues while using it. Okay, and context variables can be used anywhere in the job. So suppose if you want to see from which table name it is coming, so you can come here. And if we had a context variable for a table, we can have this one, give it here. Okay, and you can specify any context variable. So see, it is coming at any place wherever you want. It comes up here and you can have it. Use it as per your requirement. And see, we are getting this warning. So this warning is showing us that there is some mismatch in between the schema, and to get it connected, we can either use it or we can, right now it is giving this. Okay, for date pattern it does not have any default value or a date. So see, this was the last column which we added, that then we put the value of our database in localhost, which was supplied into the context variable. Okay. So we can use these variables anywhere we want. Any questions, Sulan?
Hi Rohit, I have some other question on this. So as you can see, we can assign static value to content variables, right? So is there any way we can assign dynamic values like say today, today's date, to define a variable like today, and that will pick up the current date whenever we run that context variable. Is that any way we can do that?
Yes, we can do that.
Can you show?
You already have a, you can do that. You can do it in a way that if I want to, so what I will do, I will convert it as date and convert this data type. If I want, you can convert it as this. Okay, see. Now I have a context variable which is of data type and I want it to print date. So again, to print the date, what we will do is either you can give it, you have to get the value. So for that, which way you want to use? Same, you have to use a tjava or a tjava row wherein you can assign the value to it. Okay. Or else if you are using, because you want to use it directly and you want to assign it, so either you can use it here. While simple context. See, if you type talent, you will see all the functions which are available in talent and you can use it. So for current date, you can use this talent or get current date.
Okay.
Okay. And if you want to check whether it is there or not, talent, you will be using this as ATM. Sunday, Feb 5th, this was the time on Wednesday.
Okay. Okay, so once we initialize that value, then we can use that in the other transformations that comes
You
up.
have to initialize it. Without initialization, you can't.
Okay, so we need to initialize it with Java only, or we can use something else?
Yeah,
like,
that is the best way to initialize it using tjava, because otherwise you will be having issues by using just to see use tjava to initialize.
Okay.
Because it is in a way your custom code wherein you are giving the values other than which is coming from your source or not.
Okay. Okay. So that's thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So we have pushed this. Okay, so So now shall we use the sixth module, or else it does this move because it is more 50. Okay, fine. We will have to stop at 1 minute. Okay. So next we will try to see how to use error handling into a talent job. First, we get errors and we have to have a way in which we can deal with those errors, so that our job does not stop separately and we are not in a place where we get issues from the customer and our job, and also that what is field, what we have to spend time on daily. So how to handle errors? So here in Tjava or talent we have the components which will help us out, which are T-lock catcher, T-warn and T-die. Okay, so T-lock catcher is, you can say it is an independent component which should not be connected in the job to any of the data flow. Means like if you have previously seen that I have used while using second floor, it does this Tjava also. I have asked talent to run that Tjava component once the top flow gets completed. But in case of log catcher, we should not do that. It should be always an independent component placed anywhere in the job, and based on that we can capture the errors which gets arise. Okay. So it helps us to capture errors from Java exceptions, T-die component or T1 component, and it gives us all the messages which comes from these components to our any second component or the next component which we have. Suppose if you want to send a mail to someone whenever any error rises, so using T-lock catcher, you can connect that to T-send mail component, and it will automatically send you the mail once an error is occurred. If the job runs successfully and it does not capture any error, then you won't get any error. But if it fails on any point and this T-lock catcher has captured something, it will always send the mail to you, and you can see it and you will get an indication that okay, it has failed at this point, and you should see it. T-warn is basically the messages or warning messages which we want. It's raises a warnings and it gives you the messages. Usually we very often don't use this because we use T-lock catcher or this T component so that it is, because sometimes it gives you GUI level messages which we don't require, but if you are building an application using Talent, then this comes up handy. And the third component is T-die. So T-die is a component wherein you can say that you have created a flow and you want to end that flow if any error happens and the flow reaches to this T-die. So suppose you are trying to capture a data, and in that data you found some issue, and based on that issue you have created a flow that it should reach to this T-die. So this T-die will automatically kill the job, and it won't run job further. Wherein if you don't add this T-die, the job will run and it will go till end, and even though there is an error into the job. Okay. So these are the ways in which T-lock catcher helps us to capture the error messages. It captures Java exceptions, T-die and T-warn. So if you don't want T-die or T-warn, you can uncheck it. If you don't want the Java exceptions, you can also uncheck that. Based on your requirement, you can select whichever error message this T-lock catcher should capture. It will capture it and send it to you. T-warn is basically message throwing. Here you can give your custom message with any of the code levels that you want and its priority. whether it's warning, it's error, it's fatal, it's debug. What we do, you have the drop down list, you can select from the priority section and we'll okay. So next is TDI, and what TDI is that it will, you can give a message for a TDI, like here it is showing that it has given a message where no row is processed and it is priority is error with error code full. So error code will always be a metric and it can be defined based on your organization's listed, whatever error code you have defined in your internal development environment, you can use that and view it. Otherwise, it has automatically values for each one and you can use that. Next, you see, I have this if conditions. So if you remember, we have conjoint conditions or the trigger conditions which were on subjob okay, run if and on component okay. So this is the same if condition which we have used it here, and what we are trying to see is that the value of its previous component, means the number of the row which that previous component has processed, should be greater than 1. If it is less than 1, then it goes to the TDI and it fills the job. So this is the final output it comes, where you see the job is having T1, means first this T1 will run, then the second job will run, which has your actual processing. Whereas if this if condition is attached to this T-log row, based on the condition wherein it checks that it should process some records. If it doesn't, it should give us the error and end the job. And the T-loggers are so that it should be independent. So see, it is an independent loop which is not connected to any of your jobs. And here we have a T-map and T-log. Okay. So see, this is the resultant output. If you try this and click it, it will do one job. So see, this is our T1 which we have used now to we just have to T1. See this dash of the text after the dash, if you see, it tells us you under which category these components are there. So this is under T-log catcher. Sorry, log error. So it is used for logging the error. So if you have written T1, you just type it and drop it down. And these are the settings. It is the warning messages, its error code, and its priority. What sort of warning it should show? So it's trace, debug, info, or whatever type of message which you want to print onto the console, it will show you. Okay. So if you are giving just for information, you can give it debug mode and see and print it. Okay, if this is debug mode, or I am at this level, whatever you want. You can get this, and once you run the job, it will print it. This is the T-log catcher, which is your new component which helps to capture the errors. And see, it has these three checkboxes. So as we are using TDI and T1, so we have checked this. If you don't want messages from these two components, it won't give, it will only catch the Java exception and print it onto the console. One thing is that these components will itself show you some messages, okay, but in the T-log catcher you won't get these messages. So that's why if you see, if I have checked this TDI and T1, then you will get two messages. One, the component which itself is printing, and second, this TDI or T1 which has captured, it is printing. So if I use this and select, so T logo, and this is our if condition which we are talking. So what I will do, I will drop this and see how we can add this one. Log picture, right click, trigger. These are three options which you are connection options which you are saying that run if one component okay and one component error. So I will select run and I want to end this job if this component fulfills. Okay, and see I am getting this global variables for this T logo enter. How you can get this is that you just have to write that component name for whichever you want. Here it is T logo. Okay. Control plus space. It automatically shows you the two variables which are attached to this component. Means you can either get the error message or you can get the number. So I am getting this NB line means it holds the number of records which this component has processed. So once I click it, I get the same global map expression where it is checking for the T log number of lines and it is passing it to integer. Okay, now if I run this, see, this condition got fulfilled because it did not process any row 0, and this is what T log catcher. So first you see what it is printing. Okay. See, I am getting this error as no records processed here and reader and this value. And this T log catcher has given us this is the moment which time this job ran, what is the name of the job, and what context it is using, type and messages from where it is taken. Now we see T log catcher and it's a schema. So see, T log catcher gives us these many values attached to it based on it, time when job process ID, then root process ID, and this further, then what is the project name in which job is run, then actual job name, which context variables it is using, and what's the priority means the level messages, and the type of the error, what is not these errors, and message which came out and the code which it has through. So depending on the environment, we can select any of the columns which we want and print it into the console using this. Now we'll see the raise. Now we'll see how to raise warnings. So to raise warnings, we have a component called T message box. So message box says that our informative message, whether if I want to use this or else I can use here, where we can define whatever values we want. See the message which I want to display on the title and its button, which button I want to display, and the information, what type of icon it should display, whether it should display an error icon or exclamatory or debug or anything, whatever in the list you can select in it, and then we can go in the message which we want to display. So see here I have sent in the message which shows us that job has started, and the message which shows us that what is the job name, started at which time. So here it captures me the current date line when this job got started. So once we start this job and arrange it, the first component will be message box. As I am displaying an error message into this, otherwise we can use anywhere we want. as per our requirement, and once you run the job, it should show us this error message, sorry, this message, and you can see it. Okay. So the same thing will be here. So this is our existing book. We have added the message box, and the message box is showing us which values and what is the title. I want to see buttons. Can give any number of buttons, what we try or anything, and you can include it as per your operations also. That's advanced if you want. And then what icon you want to display in the message box, and then the messages. So this is the job name and job start. Just the same. So if I want to see what it is showing us, it gave me a message of this job is started at this time. This is the item. These are all things which we have defined in the video. Now if I want to change it to, I can make it as information, and we want to select it as yes. See, it's I can change, not just in this information, I can add button as open. So once you run this one, okay, any questions you have?
Can you show the settings of T1 again?
Yes.
Yeah. What does this component do exactly? Can you repeat?
This component raises a warning messages. Okay. So
And in this case, for which condition or for which scenario this warning message is raised?
This is only a warning that you are running the job.
User provided warning.
Yes, user provided warning. I have given a message that job is started and tried as
And this T-lock catcher, this throws warnings, error as well as messages.
T-lock catcher is used to catch, it doesn't throw anything. Thrown is done by these components. These components throw and this catches.
Okay. So without T-lock catcher, this warning or die, these components are ineffective?
No, these are effective. You will get the messages. It's just that this will come only at console. You won't be able to use this one, to use any other messages which comes up. Okay. So you use T-lock catcher, and further, that's what the scenario wherein I told that you have a job, okay, in any environment, and that is continuously running, or it is triggered and it runs at a particular time, but it failed and you haven't implemented this T-lock catcher, or you have implemented this T-Java, but these won't get stored, these messages don't get stored anywhere, so you can't use this. See, it comes up only as this no-go process, only as a text, but it is not. But whereas in T-lock catcher, it catches the messages and it stores in the message box, in the message box.
Okay.
So you can use this for the information. So you can add a please send mail component.
Means Rohit, without T-lock catcher, the log will not be stored in any place. You mean to say, if you run through console, without T-lock catcher, it will not store log anywhere.
Log catcher will also not store log.
Suppose I deploy this job, okay, I am running through this.
Console. Yeah, if you run it to the console, whether unless you have implemented any error storage methodology where you include tables and structures, then only it stores. This T-lock catcher also does not store. just give you a way wherein you can more easily identify where it is coming from. Because if you see, the speed eye has sent me a message as no processed, but it does not give me any detail about at which job it is running. Suppose we have 10,000 of records, or you have multiple jobs which are running simultaneously. So at which in the console you will get only row processed. If you don't, otherwise we have to write here the job name and custom message here. So the same thing, this plog catcher gives you easy access to control the messages or to have you better information in terms of job if it's the that you can get.
This log catcher,
So
it
you say that we
displays
should
the table
implement
in
this
the
log
log.
catcher in each and every job to get the log. Sorry, Aditya, can you, yeah, Aditya, you asked. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was asking that this
So,
log
what
catcher,
am I-
not the log catcher. The log catcher is just displays the table, right?
Yes, it does replace the table. It does not,
Okay.
doesn't do anything. It is only a way that you just to capture the data which is coming to the flow and print it. Does not store anywhere.
Okay. Okay. Well, Larmo, you ask.
So, I mean, so my question is, see, to store the log and what are the error and message notes and all, we are running through the console. So, what is the mode of getting the log? Means like in other system, it's generate the code itself generate a log file.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. So it will print you the log files into logs into the console messages. So suppose you run the job. Okay, you have a tag. You are running this a tag or a scheduler. Usually we use a tag for talent wherein this job gets run. So tag itself creates a log file which implements logging methodology of Apache, and all the error messages gets generated from this log gets stored into that log file of a particular job.
So it create that, right?
Yes, you have.
So this T catcher, log catcher and all, it's a debugging method to while creating a job or what?
This is only the debugging method while creating or while running the job. This only helps you to get what data is going in.
From the
But if you want to store the data for further use, or if you want, then you can implement the tables and the database structure for error capturing, wherein you can store the error messages with text generated.
Separately.
Yes, you can separately, and then later on you can create it. For that, you have to implement that error capture part.
Okay. So that will be the custom code for that, right?
Yes, that will be the custom code. You have to create a custom. No, you can include this. If you want to store it into tables, you can create a table. If you want to store it into the this log file, then the place wherein this job gets scheduled, there you define the log file parameters, and it gets stored there.
Okay.
Okay. So this was for understanding. Okay, so today I was thinking that I had created certain scenarios, and maybe you can try with you and give see if you have any issues or any doubts which comes up while using it. So this assignment which they are supporting, we will try to send it to you. So here we have the assignment wherein you have to use these 3 files, and these are primarily based on your module 1, 2, 3 and 4. Otherwise, if you want to implement, you can implement the module 6 which we have covered today. Whatever you can reach to any extent which you want, and baseline is that it is only including the scenarios covered for module 2, 3 and 4. So here we have 3 files. One is customer data, one is sales, and second one is order. So from customer data file, you should try to get the count of customers which are from New York and Alabama. And second, you should try to capture the customer in different CSVs. We suppose if a customer is from you can try to do is that, see, we have these many states. You can try to create customers.
Right, 11 file will be there.
No, not 11 file. This customer from Texas should be in one file. Customer from Alabama should be in another file. Customer from Arizona should be in different file.
That is what I'm saying. 11 states are there, so there will be 11 file, right?
Yes, 11 file. On the second one, which it should cover is sales data. It show you the details that you can understand what there is. So see, we have these 2 files. One is storing customer data, and second one is storing order data. And our requirement which we have is that we have to get order details for all orders where order line number is greater than 10. Simple little addition. Order line number is greater than 10. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, from 11 till 18, then check on the records from 11 till 18. Okay. And if you want to improvise this scenario, you can do that also. And next is your order details, which should be based on the area, and the area which it is from. EMA means we don't want output for the records which are from US. We only want output from the records which are here. But I don't want the customers. We have to try to capture the order ID. Okay. So orders which come from EMA section. Only EMA. So we want an order list for this section, so that we have a separate file. And next is we have to get tickets for all the phone fields from customer table which are having period. So this is and this is. Okay. We should get these values into the result. So these 3 are there, and if you want to go on further and test anything, you can do it. Okay. Any questions on this? Hello. you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the assignment which we will send to you and you can try it at your end. Any questions on the assignments? So is it fine?
I think that's up for the next day.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, you can have this normal questions and we will see to it. Yeah? Okay. So that's all for today and we'll try to get.
Are you sending?
Yes,
sending?
you will get it. Yes, you will get
I will
this.
send-
You will get this. Yes, we'll send it. We'll send it to you and whatever questions you have, you can list them down and we will see to it on next. Yeah?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yes.